Hi, everyone. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming to our panel. This is Decoding GovTech Opportunities with GSA. I will be your moderator today. My name is Omar Gonzalez. My pronouns are he, him. I am based out of Chicago, and I am part of GSA's talent acquisition team, specifically for the Office of Technology Transformation Services, or TTS. We have a lot of acronyms in government, so bear with me. All right, so what is GSA? If you've never heard of GSA, GSA is the General Services Administration, which is a federal government agency that specializes in acquisition and government contracts. So if you go to like a federal building, that building is probably provided to that agency by GSA. All the furniture, all the equipment, all the systems and platforms are also usually provided by GSA. And the technology as well. So that's where we come in terms of the technology. I'm actually joined by some amazing colleagues of mine, so this is a really, really awesome panel. But yeah, if you're not familiar with GSA, that is who we are. We are a federal government agency. And TTS does the tech. Our mission is to design and deliver a digital government with and for the American public. So what does that mean? That means that we use technology to try to modernize the government and make it easier for all of you to have access to information and services with government. And we do that in a lot of different ways. And my colleagues here will actually kind of highlight how they fit into TTS and the mission and the vision. And you'll learn that there's a lot of different paths and routes that you can take to get into federal government and civic tech and gov tech. And hopefully will help you understand the federal hiring process as well, because it can be very, very confusing. But that's why we're here. All right, so let's start with some introductions from my colleagues here. Kennedy, I'll start with you, so go right ahead.
Sure. Hey, everyone. How are you doing? My name is Kennedy. My pronouns are she, her. I am located in New Jersey, and I am a product manager with the U.S. Digital Course.
Hello, I'm Edwin Torres. My pronouns are he, él. I'm based in Puerto Rico. I am a consulting software engineer at 18F. And did I forget something?
No, you're good.
I'm good.
Yes.
Awesome. Hi, my name's Eboni Freeman. Say, woo. Hi, it's so good to meet you. My pronouns are she, her. I'm a Presidential Innovation Fellow, and I'm based in DC, but I'm from Georgia. Is anyone else Southern? There we go.
Way in the back. Thank you all. All right, so I have a weird question for the three of you, just so we can kind of understand the culture at TTS. If you were to describe TTS as like a TV show or a food or an animal, and I know it's a weird question, why would you describe it that way, or what would you use and why? So I'll start with you, Kennedy.
Let's start with Ebony.
Yeah, Ebony seems to have an answer. Go ahead.
I feel like she's prepared.
Yes.
Okay, has anyone ever seen the show Younger?
I love that show.
There we go. So it is about a fantastic person who is transitioning in their career, bringing all that energy and all that talent to a new atmosphere and killing it. And I think that's a really great way of describing TTS. A lot of folks didn't start out thinking, oh, in elementary school, I want to work for the government. But a lot of us move into that atmosphere and are able to bring our fantastic background.
Thank you, Ebony. Edwin, do you have an answer?
Yes. I know there's the perception that government is slow. I think that's very common. But I will see TTS as a cheetah, because we are always ahead of in terms of technology. We are like the cool kids on technology inside of the government. Right now, with everything about AI, we are the agency that is working on hiring a lot of people in that space. So I will say, like, in terms of government, we are the cheetah.
Nice.
That's a really good one. I was thinking we're like the Big Bang Theory. There's a room full of a lot of smart people that we make questionable decisions. Not really, it's a joke, but we're always advancing technology. We want to see the world be a better place, and the show's pretty diverse, and I think that's a representative of TTS specifically and how a lot of us come into government tech.
Thank you. I know that was a weird question, but those were great answers. Yeah, and we would love to learn more about like your experience and background and how you fit into the bigger realm of TTS. So Kennedy, I'll start with you again. What was your why for government? What was your path to public service?
Yeah, the path to public service was pretty long. I was an AmeriCorps Vista at a point in life, but I have a master's in urban planning, and urban planners work directly with the government. And then I had a passion for tech, and I found a way to combine the two interests, and that's how I got here.
And you're part of the U.S. Digital Corps, correct?
Yes. Would you like me to go into that a little
Yes,
bit?
please. Tell us about the U.S. Digital Corps.
So the U.S. Digital Corps is a early career program for career changers. It's a 2-year fellowship within the federal government. And what they do is that we're all housed in GSA, but we get detailed to different projects across the government. So for example, I'm detailed to HHS, but other fellows are detailed to other things. And there's so many other benefits about being a part of the U.S. Digital Corps that I think we'll get in a bit later.
We will, yes,
Right.
yes. And not to skip you, Edwin, I'll get back to you. But Eboni, do you want to talk a little bit about PITH and your why for government as well?
Absolutely. It's somewhat similar to Kennedy in that it's an up to 2-year fellowship. So you are not guaranteed your second year. You got to work your butt off that first year. And the Presidential Innovation Fellowship is for mid to senior technologists coming from the private sector, nonprofit, higher academia. We have a wide variety of folks. And for myself, my why for government began really very young. My father is Army, my grandma is Air Force, my uncle is Air Force, my other uncle is Marines, my grandma served the municipal sector, so I come from a very public service background, starting with volunteering early, and so I always knew federal government was where I would end up. However, I took some time to figure out where I would land exactly. And when the Presidential Innovation Fellowship was organized by former President Barack Obama and the first Chief Technology Officer of the U.S. government, Todd Park, and they said they wanted to bring the weirdos to the government, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm a weirdo. And so I knew this would be the perfect place for me, and it really has been.
Thank you. I would say that we're all a little bit weird if we want to do civic tech. So if you're a weirdo, yeah, consider it. Edwin, what about you? What was your why for government? And can you tell us a little bit about the type of work you do for 18F?
Yes, I'm very different. I don't have any member of my family in the government. I was used to work on a consulting privacy firm, and I started doing project with the state government in Puerto Rico. There was one project specifically with the Department of Education that was focused to deliver something to the public. And that really made an impact in me, like doing something that is going to help parents to find schools for their children, like something meaningful. And then when I discovered that, I really like this. And I started looking for other organizations, and there are many right now in federal government. There's 18F, is one unit inside TTS. There is Digital Corps, there is PIF, there are another ones like USDS, and I know there was one person with USDS here. So I started to follow those organizations in social networks, and I remember it was January 2020, before the pandemic, like ages ago, when I saw that 18F was looking for engineers, and they're looking for engineers. And I click on the link, and they say, we're looking for telework engineers. I don't have to move. And I apply, and since then I am very happy with that decision to join TTS and join 18F. I have been on many projects with a lot of impact to the public, so I'm very happy with that.
Thank you. Yeah, a lot of our opportunities are remote friendly. Not all of them, but I would say the majority of them. So I think that's something that's very appealing. Working at TTS, we are technically GSA employees as well, which is probably the bigger brand that you might know us from. But I'd love to learn a little bit more about kind of like your day-to-day and how you've been able to implement your experiences and your background into kind of the day-to-day that you do for your different teams. So Kennedy, I'll start with you again, if that's okay.
It's all good. So, as I mentioned, I'm a product manager, and I'm detailed to HHS, Health and Human Services, and there I'm working on digital identity, specifically authentication for benefits delivery and making those processes a bit more equitable for the U.S. citizens. So that's most of my day, but the part of the day that I really enjoy is really being a part of the fellowship. The fellowship is a cohort-based, so it's about 45 of us in my cohort. We're always linking up together, always doing a lot of professional development activities together. Another great thing about GSA is that they offer executive coaching. It's my favorite thing about being a part of the organization. So it's a lot of combination. Every week can look a little different, but most of the time, about 80% of the time, I'm at HHS doing the work there, helping the American people, 20% over at USDC, and doing a lot of the fellowship work there.
Thank you. Yeah, that's a really good point. The executive coaching is a huge benefit that you get as a GSA employee. If you were to get your own executive coaching, that's usually about like more than $100 an hour. And we get it for free, and you do not have to be an executive either. We are all eligible for executive coaching. That's something that I personally take advantage of as well, and they go through a really prestigious institute. So yeah, that's a really good point. I'll skip around again a little bit. Eboni, do you want to tell us a little bit about your expertise and what your day-to-day looks like?
Absolutely. So I am a bit of a pinch hitter. You don't know who needs to fill the role? It's me. And so my background is a mixture of product management, program management, and a few other bits and pieces. In my first year as a Presidential Innovation Fellow, I came in and I knew exactly what I was going to do. And in my first week, they said, forget about it. We got something else for you. And I became the Community of Practice Program Manager, overseeing how the federal government engages the federal workforce across artificial intelligence, customer experience, technology acquisition, contact centers, and innovation adoption. And it was fantastic bringing those folks together. I'm now in my second year at Small Business Administration, where I am helping with product management. So the next time you want to start a business, it's just a little bit easier. When I have to think about what's my favorite part of working at GSA, this is where we get into the recruiting bit, where I'm like, oh my gosh, there's so many great things. There really are. Probably my favorite is, honestly, it's so cheesy, but it's the people. I've worked in private sector, nonprofit sector, in a few different places, and when they say bring yourself to work? You know what I'm talking about. Well, my name is Eboni Freeman. You know exactly what race, what gender, you know my whole background from my last name. And I truly felt comfortable in this space, bringing my whole self. And when I say people bring a lot of themselves, but we do it healthfully, I'd say.
That's a very good point. I think as public servants, there is kind of an element that we do have to bring to advocate for y'all, the American public. We want to make sure that we're not ignoring any communities, and it's definitely a never-ending sort of way of thinking. But yeah, I think having that passion and being mission-driven kind of makes us all very close and connected. Edwin, same question for you. What was some of the expertise and background that you brought, and what does your day-to-day look like?
Yes, in GSA, TTS, there are many software engineers. Some work with products. Some, like me, are consultants, which means that I go to other agencies and I offer services as a consultant. My latest project, which I was working on it until 2 hours ago to come to the event, it was launched in the American Climate Corps. It was launched in Earth Day 2-3 weeks ago by President Biden, and in that project I was the tech lead, and we started this project in final week of January, and we have until Earth Day to design the product, design what was going to be there, and then build everything up. So in my case, I tend to go to different agencies because I'm a consulting software engineer, but we have also other software engineers that work in specific products, like login.gov, which is a product. And yeah, if you prefer that kind of engineer where you stay in the same product for a long time, yeah, we have engineers that are like that.
Yes, good point. So my three colleagues here all work with different agencies. You can think of the type of work we do as consulting within the government for the government, where our clients are other government agencies. But to Edwin's point, we also have our own platforms and services. So if consulting is something that does not really appeal to you, there are still a ton of opportunities within GSA's technology transformation services for you as well. I'm also not a technologist, so there are other non-tech opportunities as well. We have a lot of teams that do what we call shared services. We have account managers, we have acquisition experts. I'm a technical recruiter. We have outreach people, which is kind of like marketing in the private sector. So there are really opportunities for everyone. But if you do want to be more client-facing and work on like different projects, there are a lot of opportunities there for you. The two fellowships that we have are incredible as well. 18F does amazing work as well. But yeah, there is really something out there for everyone. All right. I'll start with you now, Eboni. I'm going to just switch it up. There's no logic to this. What has surprised you about working in government? And I know you touched on that a little bit, but maybe like a favorite memory or experience that you've had so far.
We love switching it up. I'm going to send it over to Edwin.
Good one. Yes, I think I came from a small firm, a consulting firm, so there was not like many opportunities there. You have a lot of opportunity to make an impact on projects, but not inside of the organization. One thing that really surprised me in a good way with GSA Technology Transformation Services is that there are a lot of opportunities in terms of, for example, details. You can like detail as, and I detail as a supervisor. I was 1 year engineering supervisor. There are other opportunities like 10X, which you have an idea, you came with that idea, you submit that idea to that program, and they fund that idea. So I submit ideas on how to improve digital service delivery to the US territories. The idea was selected, and they run that idea first round, was selected for second round, it was selected for third round, and now they are like deploying a new product with the Department of Transformation because of that idea. So one thing that really surprised me from GSA Technology Transformation Services is that many opportunities.
Yeah, details are actually a really, really good way of learning new skills. I did a detail 2 years ago where I was the advisor to senior leadership on DEI&A, diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility. I was not a DEI&A expert, but I got detailed into that. But there are so many different types of details. There are details where you have to be on location. There are details that are remote. There's just a lot of really cool opportunities. Like 10X will fund your ideas. If you submit them. So there are just a lot of really cool things that you can do in government. Kennedy, do you have a favorite memory? I know you're part of like our entry level / career changers, but is there something that you would say you've learned since joining TTS?
I think the biggest myth buster that I have are honestly the people. I think that there's a misconception, and maybe it's not a misconception, that in government it's only the older folks, they're 20-year, they're lifers in the career, but then you meet really cool people within TTS specifically. You have people who worked a lot in Google, people who've worked at Amazon, so you have the opportunity to learn from people who are experienced in these like larger tech organizations. You meet founders like Eboni, who hasn't mentioned that, but she's a founder. She ran her own business before, and she comes and she's actually spoken to us at US Digital Corps and shared a lot of her knowledge with us. So that has been the biggest eye-opener within the program. There's so many opportunities to learn, so many opportunities to share. I've actually presented at a couple of workshops as well. So there's a lot of learning and development opportunities, but also leadership opportunities that I don't think I've worked at other companies in private before that I didn't get those opportunities. So it was really nice to be in this kind of environment where my opportunities for me to grow were just there, and they were giving. They're like, you want to do it? Go ahead. Like, no questions asked most of the time. So that's nice to me.
Absolutely, yes. We have a lot of speaking opportunities. that we can all sign up for. I actually had a huge fear of public speaking, and I just kind of got thrown into the deep end when I joined TTS, and now I'm okay with it. But Eboni, so I'm gonna kind of change the question for you a little bit. So Ebony's part of the, like we said, Presidential Innovation Fellows, which ideally you come in as an expert to help the government. But is there anything that you have learned from the government, even though you are seen as this expert?
Absolutely. I think one of the tenets on the PIF website is humility and courageousness. So when I say I have to take a humble dose of humility every day and a lot of courage, because you're going into these environments with people, as Kennedy mentioned, who've been doing effectively the same job somewhat for 20 years. Some people, a few more years, have been doing it longer than I've been alive. When you say these folks are truly the experts at what they do, and yet you still need to come in with the confidence and the capability to guide them in your functional expertise area. And so that balance has been very interesting. In my prior experience, I often work with folks who were also of a similar background, who had a similar level of seniority and expertise. And in some of those rooms, although they've been doing their job for 30 plus years, I am the senior leader in that room. So sometimes it's about amplifying their voice. No, people haven't been listening to you for years and you told us this was a problem. Well, let's all turn our head to Shakira. She's been knowing this was a problem for years. How do I turn this opportunity into a space where those folks who are often unheard get the chance to share their expertise and gain their opportunity?
Yes, opportunity is the key word here. There are so many opportunities. The mentorship, the coaching, coming in and working with people that have been doing it for 20 plus years that maybe have a little bit of resistance in change, and you being able to sort of sell that change to them is incredible. And I'm very proud of all the work that all of us have done. All right, so now, very basic question here. Navigating federal hiring is very confusing. I don't know if has anyone ever tried to apply to a federal government job? Yeah, it's so confusing. And if you do not know what you're looking for, if you don't know what to read, if you don't know what you need to incorporate into that federal style resume, it is going to be a barrier for you to get into government, but that's why we're here. That's why we're here to kind of demystify that and sort of help you through that process. So I'm gonna ask each one of you who had to apply to be where you're at, what is a piece of advice or a tip you would give to someone who has never navigated the federal hiring process before? Edwin, I'll start with you.
Yes. One thing I did, sometimes people inside of the agency cannot help you because of conflict of interest. So a thing I did when I applied was I looked for people that used to work at where I was applying, in GSA, TTS, 18F. And also look someone that it was like with similar background. So I just looked for the person on LinkedIn, wrote a call message, asked if he wanted to talk, and he was very kind, and we have a call, and we talk about his experience. He offered me some mentorship on how to work on the resume. So yeah, that's an idea you can use. You look for a mentor, and sometimes, yeah, you can use the resources outside on the internet to look for those mentors.
Yeah, that's really good piece of advice. If there's someone that you admire, you want to be who they are in terms of your professional career, just reach out to them. Most people are willing to help you. And to Edwin's point, we are very limited in the type of assistance we can provide because there's a lot of policy around what's called prohibited personnel principles. We can't give any favoritism to one person versus the next, but we definitely do want to make sure that we're connecting you with the right people. So you can always still reach out to us, and we're always willing to help. Kennedy, same question for you. What's something or a piece of advice you would give in terms of the federal hiring process?
I actually have two. Before I had
Okay.
one, but I just thought of two. The second one. The first thing is the government-styled resume. I know a lot of people have a lot of difficulties with that one. One thing that I learned, though, is that a lot of agencies actually now have webinars that teaches people how to create those resumes. So if I were you and you saw a job that you like and you're interested in, go to that agency's LinkedIn page, and they post often about those resume webinars, and really just sit in one. Or if you're not even ready yet, just still sit in one so that you're prepared for the next job that you find. So now that you found a job, apply and forget. That's my go-to rule. Just apply and forget. Hiring within the government, especially for a U.S. Digital Court Fellow, it's cohort-based, as I mentioned. You apply in November, you don't start until August. That's a really long time. Not everyone has the capacity to even wait that long. One good thing about TTS is that they are very communicative about what stage in the process you are in, but someone like me, I applied and I forgot. I just remembered every time they emailed me and told me I moved on to the next step. And it all just worked out. And sometimes things just gotta work out in life, you know? But those are the two pieces of advice I would give.
Thank you, and here you are. So thank you. Ebony, how about you?
Absolutely. So I doubled down on what Edwin said. I believe I did somewhere around 37 coffee chats before I became a PIF. I saw some eyes bug open there. 37 people I talked to had already had my role, and that way I'd fully understand what I was getting myself into. During the application process, I also then continued to do those coffee chats along the way, because unlike Kennedy, I am not have that same level of patience. I hope to get there one day. I was like, oh my gosh, they haven't gotten back to me. It's been 2 months and it's been and they're like, no, it's okay, be calm. So having that, I think the word of the day is tribe. So having your tribe come along with you is super important there. And the finale is, this wasn't the first federal government job I had applied for in my career. And in the past, I had kept up with people at the bottom of the application. Sometimes, most of the times, they'll put a little name there, and you think, oh, it's just going to go into a black box. But in reality, there are some actually really decent human beings on that side. And so I've emailed them, and even though that job didn't work out or that one wasn't the right time, I stayed in contact, and now I know about other jobs that, you know, this is a recorded interview, but I've heard about some interesting things from some interesting folks.
Thank you all. That's really great advice. As a tech recruiter, I'll give some advice as well. We need you. You know, I know there's this kind of misconception that people are lined up to work in the federal government, but when it comes to civic tech, we really do need you. And so we want to make sure that your experience is positive. We want to continuously communicate with you. So if you want to reach out to us, we have a booth here. We'll be here all week. So yeah, we have a booth. We also host our monthly info sessions. So if you go to our website, we have an info session every month on just the types of roles that we're hiring for, how to navigate the federal hiring process, and all of that. And there was one more thing I wanted to add. You can go to join.tts.gsa.gov to learn more about our opportunities. We even have a guide on there on how to create a federal style resume. And I do want to leave some time for questions, but the last thing I'll say is, honestly, the biggest key to working at TTS is your federal style resume must include specialized experience. Specialized experience is basically the minimum requirements for the role. And because GSA is resume-based hiring, if that specialized experience is not listed anywhere on your resume, we cannot contact you for an interview. So that's the key. You can't just have one standard federal style resume and just send it to every opportunity. You do unfortunately have to customize it for every role that you're applying to in terms of that specialized experience. And that's gonna be the key to get you in the door and at least potentially land you an interview. So yeah, that's all we have, but I will open the floor for any questions that anybody might have.
I'm hearing a lot of stagnant roles and positions in government and looking to understand how I'd be able to pitch myself or my consultancy to work with the government.
That's a really good question. Again, it's about that resume is going to be step one, and highlighting how your skills and background fits into that specific role that you're interested in. But I'm wondering if any of you have any like specific tips around that. Ebony, you do. Go ahead.
I am currently detailed to the Small Business Administration, and we would love to. I can't say that. It would be awesome if you pursued government contracting opportunities. Have you heard of 8A?
I have not.
Google it. Oh my gosh.
8A?
8A is just the number 8 and the letter A. Also, I'm Eboni Freeman. Talk to me afterward.
Okay. I love her.
Making connections, yes.
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
You are welcome. I see another question over here.
Hey, my question is for the fellows. You guys were saying that you guys got emailed about like the next step. How many steps are there? And what is the process after submitting your resume?
I can start. So for the U.S. Digital Corps, the applications go out in November, but they're only open for 1 week. That's how many applicants they get. It's a very, I don't want to say it's a competitive, but a lot of people are interested, but we want more people to be interested, if you get what I'm saying. Soon after, maybe within about 3 weeks, you get an email to participate in a project-based assessment. So I'm a product manager. I did a couple of questions around product management. I had to prove my competency there. Software engineers do their coding thing. Cyber does their thing, you know. Then about a month to 6 weeks after, you get you get notified about phone calls, like a on-call interview. You do the on-call interview, and then after that, there's a matching process where we get matched to the projects that we're interested in, but you also get to stay in the kind of project. So I said I have a background in health and economic development, so that's the kind of opportunities that I wanted to pursue. During the matching process, you interview with all of the different agencies that you could potentially be with, and then 2 days after that, I was told you got a job. I was like, great, but that was in May. That was May 1st. I didn't start till July 17th. So that's something to levy with as well. It's a lengthy process, but it can always work in your favor.
Yeah, and I would add that the longest piece is the background check. That takes the longest. So, Ebony, go right ahead.
I will make it quick because I see we have another hand. Yay! So I would say mine was somewhere around 9 months end to end. So from the moment the application opened to the moment that I got the really exciting call, they actually do call you. It is the cutest thing. They say, they prep you a little bit. They play with you. They're like, oh, I have news for you. And I'm like, okay, but what is it? Well, you got the offer. So be emotionally ready for a very interesting phone call, but it's a good call.
Yes. Was there another question you said?
Hi. So after college, I tried to do a lot of job searching. I applied for a lot of government jobs, and a lot of them denied me because of my credit. I'm sorry. Is that the background? Can you give details of the background?
Yeah, so there's definitely an element to that, like kind of financial history, but it depends on the role. So if it's a role where you're going to be kind of handling a budget or, things like that, they are a little bit more strict in terms of like your financial history, but not all roles. I would say most of our roles don't really require that. Like I said, we have a booth, so I would encourage you to come and visit us tomorrow or after this, and I can kind of tell you a little bit more like what type of role you're looking for, and then kind of help you navigate that. But yeah, the background process is different depending on the role that you're applying for. Some processes will look at certain elements versus others. It just depends. But yeah, thank you for your question. Right. So just some last notes here. I do want to thank my colleagues here. This was amazing. So thank you. I think you really represented GSA and TTS. I also wanted to thank Diversitech. Shout out to all of you. Thank you for providing the space and allowing us to promote civic tech and opportunities in government. Shout out to Shannon. Yes, we love Shannon. And then in terms of if you're interested in any of like our cohort-based hiring or 18F or any of our opportunities, stay informed, come talk to us. You can sign up for job alerts, you can sign up for info sessions, you can sign up for a lot of different resources so that once we do start hiring for these programs, you are ready to go. And like I said earlier, we do have our roles listed on join.tts.gsa.gov. Very long URL. Yeah, and that is it. So thank you all.
GSA out.